Why is it called TV dinner?
Supposed to eat it while you watch TV.
I remember really liking and not quite understanding Chuck and Buck, and also Boys Don't Cry. Those films made a big impact.
I think I snuck out to go see American Splendor.
I was rewatching My Own Private Idaho, and it really looks like it was hard to make films back then, you know?
Maybe Clerks or something like that. When we were growing up, it was like, oh, there were these Sundance sort of movies that would come out and people would talk about, and you'd go, oh, what is this? And I think as a result, I became like a Kevin Smith fan through most of my teens and all the movies that transpired after that. Yeah.
For me, maybe Napoleon Dynamite.
Fresh.
Yeah.
And I saw it on HBO, and I had to be 14. And if you look at my filmmaking and career, you see that I was really influenced by that.
Stranger Than Paradise.
What did you say?
Stranger Than Paradise.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first movie I saw. When I saw that movie, I thought, if a movie can be like this, then I want to make movies. Because I was just doing theater, downtown theater in New York City at that point. And it was the first time I'd seen like a really quirky, interesting, alternative sensibility on screen.
Go Fish by Rose Trochet. It was like black and white and just like the same thing, like exploring a group of friends and just experimental and narrative. It was awesome.
I'm thinking of the horror film and I'm blanking on the name. It's old, black and white.
Texas Chainsaw?
No.
Eyes Without a Face?
No.
The Coen Brothers?
The Honeymoon Killers?
No, really old. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Independent?
Nosferatu?
Cat People?
Okay, forget.
I remember being a kid and watching Pedro Almodovar's films that were, just starting to come to America, and for me seeing gay people represented on screen, it was like something magical about that because the films looked just as beautiful and were just as full of Hollywood magic, but they had people in them who looked like me, and that made a big difference to me as well.
Beast of the Southern Wild was actually the first film that I saw that I knew was independent, because when I was about 12 years old, went to the Britannia Theater and saw a screening of it where the director, who's actually our executive producer, Ben Zeitlin, was, he was giving a Q&A after the screening, and I thought the movie was beautiful. I became obsessed with his work then.
I remember for me, Cane River. It's a sort of Romeo and Juliet story about central Louisiana, Natchitoches, Louisiana, and I was recognizing people and the places in it. And I was like, oh, okay. This is almost like a home movie, and it's an independent movie.
I don't know about the first one, but I know one that moved me, but I'm not sure it's an independent film, but it felt like one. The Last Picture Show. Was that an independent film?
No, but that's it's an amazing.
But it felt like.
But it's made by a real person. It's not a product.
It's not a product of the studio, but because I grew up with my grandparents, going to each set of grandparents in small towns in Texas, and that was the first time I'd seen a small town in Texas with one stoplight. That was about my life experience, and I went, this is the first movie I've ever related to that specifically, about a small town in Texas, and it meant a lot to me, and it made me think, I want to write a film, I want to be in a film, I want to express my experience.
I think Mean Streets. Even though a studio distributed it, I knew when it came out that it was made independently, and I'm part Italian American, and so my mother and I went to see it, and it was like it really struck a chord for us. I don't know.
Reservoir Dogs was a total epiphany. Now, I saw that movie years after it came out, but at that point, I was all about the blockbusters, and I think it was Tarantino's films that really sort of opened my eyes to an entire other, section of movie making.
I remember seeing Brazil when I was younger. And again, I don't know if that falls in the independent category, but I feel like that opened my eyes to film being as, the potential of film to be as rich as literature.
Does Star Wars count? Because that is technically an independent film. I am a doc junkie, and I always used to watch documentaries growing up. So there's a movie called Hands on a Hard Body, which kind of rocked my world. Rob Bindler made this incredible documentary about people in rural Texas trying to win a truck. Whoever could stand there the longest with their hand on the truck. And what But you can see him in some of the shots, like you can see him and his one friend that's like doing sound, because it's so ragged and it's just like it's a truly indie DIY production. But I was like, shit, like I could do this. Like I could get a camera and start making movies.